Hi everyone, and welcome to the Fake Love and Flying Monkeys podcast. My name's Nova Gibson and I am your host. My area of expertise is in supporting victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse and other toxic relationships. I'm the principal counsellor at Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counselling Service, and I'm also the author of Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about everything from the initial pink cloud you find yourself on at the start through to the horrific discard and the powerful trauma bond that keeps you hooked. So take your imaginary seat on the roller coaster that is narcissistic abuse, and don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. Today's episode is about how to spot a narcissist. Now, wouldn't it be great if they all had some kind of sign on their forehead so you would know exactly who to avoid? Because of course, if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, you never want to cross paths with another one again as long as you live, let alone get into any kind of significant relationship with them. But of course, they don't come with a sign on their forehead, and society doesn't do us any favors in relation to the fact that the word narcissist has now become a bit of a buzzword, and people who really don't understand the true meaning of the word or the nature of the disorder and the pathology of the disorder, and of course the destruction they wreak on people's lives. People are using this term to describe someone who is maybe a bit unpleasant. If someone's nasty to you, if they're a bit lazy or they don't treat you as nicely as you treat them, then people are calling them a narcissist. They're using it as a derogatory term, and of course that minimizes the experiences of the true victims, and it takes away from the devastation and the destruction that these pathological individuals cause in the lives of their victims. And if you have been in a relationship with a narcissist, you will know that the isolated incidents of someone that we might cross paths with that we deem as a bit of an asshole, these isolated incidents do not necessarily relate to someone who is narcissistic, because the abusive behaviors that you have been subjected to, you now realize are consistent patterns of behavior over space and time, where the abuse is intentional and there is a lack of empathy, and they're not just, these one-off experiences with someone who's having a bad day. We all have bad days. We all have times in our life when maybe we were a little selfish perhaps, or we were grumpy, or we just didn't get enough sleep and we weren't as nice to people as we would like. And that doesn't make us a narcissist. It makes us human. It makes us someone who has flaws. The difference between us engaging in those isolated incidents that are outside of our character is the intention, and also the fact that we can reflect on our behavior, experience remorse, and of course the fact that they're not consistent and they don't define us. We would never intentionally hurt someone else, and if we did perchance happen to hurt someone because we were having a bad day, we would make it our goal to make it up to that person and regain their trust. So the fact that the word narcissist has become a buzzword makes people think who haven't experienced a true abusive relationship with a narcissist. It makes them think that, perhaps the person that is engaging in what may be an isolated incident that is outside of their character, it makes them think that perhaps they're a narcissist, and they're using that word as freely as you and I might use the word jerk, or just someone who's toxic and we don't like to keep company with. But it's not just the fact that it has become a buzzword and it's overused by people who don't know the true meaning of the word. It's also because what society typically deems a narcissist to be is someone who you can see coming, with that image of being out there, loud and arrogant, and perhaps bragging a lot. This is the misconception that exists in society, and it makes it really difficult to spot a narcissist when you think that they should be easy to see coming. The reality is that, in my opinion, given the experiences of, I would have to say, at least 70% of the thousands of clients I have counseled, the reality is that most narcissists are actually the opposite of that. Those type of consistent behaviors relate more to what we call an overt narcissist. And of course, they would be easier to spot because they fit that societal mold of what we deem as a narcissist should look like and act like. The reality from the people that I speak to is that most narcissists are covert, and you do not see them coming. So as I say in my book, Fake Love, when I make the comparison between overt and covert narcissists, my opinion is that the majority of narcissists are covert. You don't see them coming, and they're actually the opposite of what society typically deems a narcissist to be. In fact, they're so opposite that they can be quite introverted, anxious, even shy, withdrawn, with all of the abuse taking place behind closed doors. And this is how they infiltrate your life so easily, because you don't pick them immediately. And it's only when they have made sure that they're enmeshed in your life and that your life revolves around them that you will start to see the confusing and abusive behaviors that differ so much from what the covert narcissist is showing to the outside world, to everyone else on the other side of your closed front door. Their abuse will typically be passive aggressive, with things like the silent treatment and the use of smear campaigns and passive aggression, such as withholding affection. Not that these behaviors, these abusive behaviors, aren't also exhibited by the overt narcissist, but the covert narcissist will be a lot more sneaky about it, wanting to keep that image of being the perfect charismatic person to the outside world, which will confuse you as the victim. And of course, much of the time, the covert narcissist is not screaming and yelling and punching walls and engaging in that really out there aggressive, abusive behavior. And because your threshold for respect has insidiously been lowered over time and your boundaries eroded away, and your threshold for abuse gradually has gotten stronger, then the passive aggressive behaviors become normalized by you, and it becomes even more confusing and more isolating when other people think that this person that makes you feel so bad about yourself, to them, is such a nice person. And I think the words covert and overt kind of describe it in a nutshell, given that covert means hidden, you can't see it, and overt means that you can see it, it's visible. So the covert narcissist abuse takes place where no one else can see it, and the overt narcissist is, as I said earlier, more open about their abusive strategies, and their arrogance is more visible to others. So the hidden abuse of the covert narcissist is what is so isolating for the victim, because others don't see it, and because the covert narcissist wears that mask of being, that lovely, caring person who will go and help a complete stranger. They wear that mask for everyone else, and it's only you, their victim, who sees exactly who they are, who exists behind that mask. So what does that mean for victims? If society thinks that all narcissists are obvious, which is what overt means, and you know what to expect in them, and the term's being overused, then what does that mean for you as a victim trying to protect yourself from engaging with another narcissist when you can't see the abusive behaviors to begin with? And sometimes, or most of the time, they actually appear to be this loving, kind person to begin with, not out there like the overt narcissist, and certainly not abusive. How do you protect yourself when you can't spot them? You can't pick them out in a crowd. So I really wanted to make that distinction early on in this episode between a covert and an overt narcissist, because if the majority, or I believe the majority of narcissists are covert, then that's really going to impact on our discussion around how to spot a narcissist. So to answer that question of how to spot a narcissist, how do you pick one out in a crowd? Well, unless they're one of those overt narcissists who is quite open and obvious about their self-absorption, you're not going to be able to pick it immediately. And the answer relies on you taking it slowly and having your boundaries intact and getting to know this person before you hand over all of your vulnerabilities, your intimate secrets to someone you don't know well, and therefore you don't know if you can trust. And that does not come down to paranoia. That comes down to self-care, because most of you listening to this episode will know that these people are everywhere. They're out there. And someone who is a narcissist and you don't know this to begin with, a covert narcissist, and you're giving them all of your stories about previous trauma. You're wearing your heart on your sleeve and giving them all of this information that you really should just be giving to someone you know well and you know you can trust. When you're doing that and you're giving that information to someone that you don't trust, you run the risk of having that information used against you at a later time. And if you think about it, why would you want someone that you really don't know if you can trust to know all of those things about you? It is not paranoia, it's self-care. But now that you know who and what the narcissist is, let's just have a look at some of the behaviors that, whilst not obviously abusive and certainly wouldn't make you think, oh, I'm out of here immediately. Let's just have a look at some of the behaviors that may make you think that I've just got to keep my boundaries intact and keep my eyes and ears open. Now, one of the big red flags that a covert and an overt narcissist will engage in is the love bombing stage. They will be over the top in everything they will do. They will want to be bigger and better and grander than everyone else, and of course enmesh with you very, very quickly. They want your head to spin so fast that before you know it, you can't live without this person because you're trauma bonded to them. They will make you feel like a prince or a princess on your own pink cloud. They make you feel so amazing. So you wouldn't look at someone being lovely as, a huge red flag normally. What makes this person someone who's love bombing you as opposed to a person who is just like that and likes to send you bunches of flowers every day and send you those wonderful good morning texts and good night sweet dream texts. What makes a person love bombing you different to someone who's just a little over the top in wanting to impress you? And these are really reasonable questions. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't want to run a mile because someone's being overly nice to you. And once again, it gets back to going slow and not enmeshing with this person really, really quickly, because some people do, give you boxes of chocolates all the time and do these wonderful things in that, that honeymoon phase, that courting phase. And, those special times, they are to be expected normally in the honeymoon phase. The difference is that when we become invested in a relationship with someone, that honeymoon phase gradually dies down. It doesn't come to a screeching halt. That's the difference between love bombing and being over the top with someone and someone who is manipulating you. Another red flag to look out for when you're talking with someone, perhaps on a first date, is how they talk about their exes. Narcissists tend to tell you they've got a crazy jealous ex. They'll either be crazy or they'll be still in love with them, but they will always have someone who has caused them harm in their life. In other words, they'll be the victim of someone else. Narcissists love to tell you all about their exes very early on in the relationship, or people in their life who have harmed them. Number one, this makes you feel sorry for them. They're a victim. And it also establishes a sense of trust in you. Wow, this person must be really comfortable with me to pour their heart out in such detail. The other thing that it does is that it makes you feel obligated or comfortable, perhaps in talking about your past traumas. And besides getting you to feel sorry for them and pulling at those empathy strings of yours, getting you to reveal all of your vulnerabilities. They want to gather all of that data so they can store it away somewhere inside their little brain and use those details against you at a later date. Now, a normal person doesn't tend to think that they're being manipulated when this person in front of them is pouring out their heart to them, telling you all about their past traumas. And why would you think in a million years they were lying to you or just using that information to make you pour your heart out to them? And guys, that's the goal, not to just get your sympathy, because it would be awful to just act like you don't care, right? But to get you to reveal everything that's happened with you in their life, all your past relationships, so they can be exactly the opposite of your terrible ex, or they can empathize and mirror and find similarities perhaps with your toxic parent, if that's what you've told them about. And yes, let's talk about the mirroring. This is a classic strategy the narcissist uses so that you think you have so much in common with this person. There will be no coincidences when the narcissist says, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe you like that kind of music," or, "Oh, you hate broccoli too, so do I." There will be no coincidences as they pick up on your likes and your dislikes, and they mirror you so that you think that you have met your soulmate and you engage with all these things that you have in common with them. And sadly, most relationships do not start off like a romance novel or something that you see in a romantic movie where there's fireworks and instant chemistry and you can't take your eyes off each other all night. Most healthy relationships tend to start off a lot slower than that, where you get to know the person. So that can present as a red flag if someone is saying things like, "I've never met anyone like you. No one has made me feel this good before, and I've only just met you. I can't believe it." Those sort of over the top comments, which present as love bombing right at the start, can also mean that that relationship is going to end with just as big a bang. Relationships that start off with those fireworks when you're with a narcissist never end well, and the ending is always as painful as they can make it. Now, on the flip side of hanging off your every word so that they can gather data to use against you later on, a narcissist will also talk about themselves. They will talk it up about what an amazing job they have, how much money they make, how many friends they have, and how well they're doing in life. So if they're intermittently giving you the undivided attention by thinking that your conversation is so amazing, and they're also talking themselves up, it can be like you're getting the whole kit and caboodle. You've got it all. You've got a person who's really got their act together, and you've also got an empathetic person in front of you who cares about what's happened to you, who cares about what you've got to say. So when thinking about how to spot a narcissist as quickly as possible so you are never put through that torture again, you must be thinking, well, what do I do? Because anyone can engage in those sorts of behaviors. And how do I tell if they really are manipulating and if they are going to be continual patterns of behavior over time? And the reality is that you can't. So this is why I keep saying again and again, it's so important to take it slowly. But not only that, but to look at the accumulative behaviors. All of these behaviors, when you put them together, add up to one big red flag. On their own, each one could be mistaken as just a little quirky character trait, some kind of flaw maybe that you could forgive them for. So you've got to look at these behaviors put together, and if you are taking it really, really slowly, and the most important thing of all is that you are not lowering your boundaries, then those red flags in time are going to be deal breakers for you. So I've talked about just some of the behaviors the narcissist may engage in the beginning that could be red flags, but certainly won't indicate that they're toxic and they may be abusive at a later time. But one way to test this out is to keep your boundaries firm. Narcissists hate boundaries. So an example might be when this person, and you don't know they're a narcissist, they're telling you all about their crazy exes, or they're telling you about all of their past traumas, and then they sit there waiting for you to return the favor. They want you to reveal all of your weaknesses and vulnerabilities, everything that's happened to you that may be something that you really didn't want to talk about on the first date. Now, with your boundaries firm, and I strongly urge you to do this, if someone makes you feel obligated to talk about your past traumas and you know that you shouldn't because you don't know this person, you don't trust them, a boundary would be, sorry, I don't wish to talk about that at this point in time. I don't really know you well enough, something like that. Now, a healthy person is more likely to say, that's fine, of course. Yeah, look, I just felt really comfortable with you and I just felt like talking about it tonight, something like that. But they won't make you feel bad. They won't make you feel pressured or that you've done anything wrong. A toxic person, a narcissistic person, is more likely to make you think that you've let them down. Gosh, they poured out their heart to you, and maybe, why are you being so closed off and you're standoffish? Why are you such a closed book? Making you feel guilty because you haven't returned all of that information. If someone is doing that to you, that's a huge red flag, because number one, you shouldn't be pouring your heart out and telling someone you don't know about all of those things that may be used against you later on. But number two, this person is telling you, they're showing you, I don't respect your boundaries. They're being very manipulative in the way they do it, by thinking that you have the problem in being closed off, perhaps because you don't want to talk, and there's something wrong with you. And of course, feeling like you've let them down, because after all, they opened up to you, and it's only fair that you do the same. So there's a boundary that you should never let down with anyone. Giving all of your secrets away, all of your stuff that you really don't want to have featured on the front page of the Daily Mail, is a boundary. It's self-care. It's not about being paranoid or being a distrusting person. You now know these people are everywhere, and it's not about walking on eggshells again and being really, really careful not to let your guard down. It's simply about self-care, because, as I keep saying, you don't know someone you've just met, and it takes time to work out whether you can trust someone and whether you do see red flags in their behavior. And the slower you take a relationship, the more likely a person, if they're going to, is going to reveal the red flags, or any red flags that they have. If you feel compelled to go at their pace because you might lose them, that's what they're implying, then that is a huge red flag. We don't lower our boundaries for anyone, because healthy people that you want in your life won't ask you to. It's only the toxic people that will make you feel bad and make you explain why you can't do what they expect you to do. So I'm sure there was many of you out there who thought I was going to give you some clear-cut indicators to spot a narcissist in the wild, like they've got pink spots and purple polka dots or something like that. But of course, there is no way of spotting one immediately, unless, of course, they are one of those overt narcissists, and you can see that their behavior is very open. They don't care. It's obvious. And you can adjust your behavior, your engagement with them accordingly. So the essence of this episode, I guess, is to keep your boundaries firm. You can't spot a covert narcissist most of the time immediately. They will infiltrate your life so quickly, and it will be under your radar and under your level of awareness, and they will manipulatively lower your boundaries and get you to override your instincts and to overlook those red flags, and you will get better, in inverted commas, at overriding more and more red flags over time until you are so enmeshed with this person that it's impossible to leave because of the dependency on them that they have created. So one or maybe even a couple of those behaviors I talked about earlier on their own would not present as a red flag if you really, really got your eyes and ears open. So if you take it slowly and you're aware of your boundaries and you are not going to lower your boundaries for anyone, then over time you will be able to group those behaviors together. And as I said earlier, those red flags will just become one big deal breaker for you, and you will run a mile. So yeah, just be hyper vigilant, but not paranoid. Boundaries are not paranoid. They are self-care. And when you are picking up on these sorts of things, not just in an intimate setting, but from anyone you first meet, the trick is to trust your instincts. If you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, you've been conditioned to not trust your instincts. So if you take it slowly and you get to know this person over time and whether you can trust them or not, and those red flags didn't multiply and you realize if they happened, they were just isolated incidents. If you take your time, then you will get to know whether this person is toxic or whether they're a narcissist or not. Unfortunately, just like they don't come with a sign on their forehead, narcissists don't look like evil monsters with horns and a tail. They can appear as your knight in shining armor. And that's why it's so important to have your boundaries intact and heal from any previous trauma, so that if these behaviors do crop up and you notice consistent patterns of confusing, toxic, abusive behaviors over space and time, you can make an informed decision. Narcissists are everywhere. They're our intimate partner, they're our uncle, our mother, our father, they're our boss, a friend, a supposed friend, or a next door neighbor. And you may never know that they're a narcissist until that person hurts you. So if you keep your boundaries intact and never lower them for anyone, then if a narcissist does cross your path, then those red flags that will present themselves inevitably in time, they will become deal breakers, and that person will never get a chance to inflict the sort of pain that you have experienced in the past, because your boundaries are your biggest defense. And that brings us to the end of another Fake Love and Flying Monkeys episode. Thank you for sticking through to the end with me, guys. Yes, today we talked about how do you spot a narcissist, and most of the time it's really hard. We talked about the fact that I believe the majority of narcissists are covert, and therefore they're going to come across as the nicest person you will ever meet. And it's about looking for specific behaviors that are consistent over space and time, and taking it slowly and not giving away of yourself too early, so that if you do have a toxic person in front of you, they're not able to use that information they gathered against you. And just to let you know, guys, I will now be dropping 5 episodes a week of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys, Monday to Friday. So don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And of course, if you'd like to have a one-on-one session with me, please just see my website link below. I'd love to support you no matter where you are in the world. And of course, don't forget to order your copy of my best-selling book, Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse by HarperCollins. And on that note, it's bye from me for now. Take care until the next episode, and remember, you are worthy of so much love, and you are certainly worthy of a whole lot more than a lifetime of fake love and flying monkeys.